What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the MovieDash podcast brought to you by Laoya.net, a podcast where we review movies, TV series, and round up the week with a discussion on an iron hot topic in the world of cinema. I'm Dashran Yohan, and joining me today to review The King is Jin So.
Hello, everyone.
A new chapter of my life has begun.
As prince, I spent my days drinking, clowning.
Now I find myself the king.
Choose your steps wisely, dear brother. They have their own kingdoms behind their eyes.
The King is directed by David Michôd. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so sorry if I'm wrong. Who also co-wrote the screenplay alongside Joel Edgerton and stars Timothée Chalamet, Sean Harris, Robert Pattinson, and Joel Edgerton himself. So in The King, Hal, or young Prince Henry, who is played by Chalamet, is a reluctant heir to the English throne. He's turned his back on his tyrannical father, uninterested in royal life, hates the idea of war, and is now living among the people. But once his father dies, he's crowned King Henry V and has to now navigate the path of politics and war. So Jin,
Yes.
what did you think of this movie?
Overall,
Yeah,
I really liked it.
really liked
Overall,
it?
I think it's very well shot, expansive, and also very well structured kind of film overall. And I would have liked to see it in the cinemas instead of Netflix.
Yeah, and that is the thing, right? I think
Yep.
you hit the nail on the head there because I watched the film. I really, really, really liked it,
Okay.
but I was also a little bit sad. Or should I say I was feeling grouchy like Scorsese
Why Dash? Why were you sad or grouchy like Scorsese?
because I don't get it. 20 years ago, this film would have been one of the biggest theatrical releases of the year, if not the biggest. It would have been a confirmed super hit at the box office and a shoe-in to at least get an Oscar nomination. This movie reminded me a lot of Gladiator, and I'm not just talking about its like what genre it is,
Yep.
but also in terms of quality and all that. It is really, really good. So I don't know, man. Why is this movie in Netflix? But I guess at least we got to watch
least
it,
we got to watch it. Yes,
like,
yes.
maybe if it came out in cinemas, it would have been a bomb, given like how the current landscape of cinema is these days.
So it was only shown at limited screenings, I think, in the US.
yeah.
But other than that, Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, and this at its core, it's a historical
Yes.
epic, loosely based on like some Shakespearean novels
Play,
and
yep.
all that Shakespearean
Henriette,
play.
yep.
Yeah, but it is also like at its core, it's a coming of age drama,
Yep.
right? About this boy who he just isn't interested in war. He's a smart guy. He's actually like really good at fighting
Yep.
and all that, but he's just not interested. At the start, you see him like he's just living. He's the embodiment. If like there was a hippie of that era,
Yes,
he
yes.
would be it. Like
Yeah.
he just enjoys partying with his friends,
The booze.
like the booze, the girls.
He has the
just
right hairstyle already. Yeah.
yeah. And he just like, like even when he's like, like when he himself tells his father that he's just not interested in being king. That's not him, because he hates the idea of politics and how, it's there's a lot of manipulation that goes in it and all that. And like sometimes it can feel like some people they're lusting for power so much that war becomes like this barbaric thing. But yet, because his father dies very early on in the movie and like his brother also dies, he's thrust into this position.
Yep.
He has no choice. And throughout the movie, you see his growth as this character from like unwilling hero, from an unwilling person who doesn't want to take up this role, into someone who just learns to embrace it and becomes really, really good at it.
Becomes
as
the
well.
king, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of that, right? Like, what do you think of Chalamet's, like, how do you think he did in the movie? Because you know, like Timothée Chalamet doesn't exactly like, when you just look at him, he looks like, you know, he's a scrawny kid and all.
Yeah.
So like, how do you think he suits the role?
I do actually, and what he does in this film is sort of, isn't really super expressive in the sense that most of the scenes he's always contemplating.
Yes.
And that might come across as, oh, you know, maybe he's not doing a good job. And
Yeah.
I have seen impressions, you know, or reviews that people are saying that they're against his performance in the film because he doesn't really do much. But I would say that him being the king, like that was his role. Like he wasn't sure. He was just thrust into it, like you said. Like he didn't have a choice. So he has his followers or his supervisors or whatever that would tell him okay what to do, and then he will have to think about okay, do I listen to this guy? Do I listen to that guy? Or myself?
Yeah, and going back to like what you said, like some people are against it. I also would push back against that because what I feel Chalamet does very, very well is that yes, at the start of the film, you look at him, whether in person or even in this movie, he is a very scrawny, small-sized guy.
Yes.
So even when he puts on an armor, he looks like, I don't know, some kind of high fashion model or something. You know, he just doesn't look like this badass, big-size warrior or anything like that. But as the movie progresses, you see like how Chalamet going from that. And he becomes like by the middle of the movie when he has this small burst of anger, or even the scene where, you know, after his father passes away and he talks to all his like the basically like his advisors and all these people who are there by his father's bedside, and he gives this speech that it isn't loud or anything like that, and throughout you see his progression, and there's this restrained performance that is so impactful. I feel like it's so powerful that by the end of it, even when he's fighting, even when he's talking to his, like, you know, his subjects, his friends or anything like that, you feel that power, like he is a king and you don't want to mess with him. And it's not easy. It's easy for someone who is big size to do that.
Correct.
But for someone like Chalamet,
with a scrawny and lanky sort of,
for you to believe him and for you to even be scared of him a little bit, I think it's a testament to his performance. You see, although this is a historical epic, and it is epic, it is like close to 2.5 hours, it has many characters, and it's about this big, it has a lot of scope and all, but it's not epic in the same vein as Lord of the Rings, right? Because Lord of the Rings ultimately is I love Lord of the Rings, so don't take this as a dig, but ultimately it is kind of glossy movie, you know, it is, and it has these big, broad, emotional like strokes, you know, like there are moments where you cry and all these kind of things, and moments where you want to cheer loudly. It's that kind of thing. This is not that. So this is more about, and Lord of the Rings have battles. This movie has a battle which you'll get to soon, but it's more about what happens in between battles than the battles themselves.
France is taunting us.
They were my father's enemies, not mine.
The screams of your men shall lull me to sleep at night.
You will not topple this King Henry V of England you so underestimate.
So I would say like this movie is more about the chess players than the chess pieces. You know, like there's a lot of like you don't know, throughout the movie you're wondering like, is someone going to betray him? Who, like, because there's a lot of, like, they try to make it in a way that everyone is given some sort of perspective, and King Henry, who is not very experienced in this, he has to think, oh my God, like he's like internalizing everything and trying to figure out like who exactly can he trust, what advice can he follow and all that. And I think that was really, really, really intriguing.
No, totally agree. But can we go into another character that's also, there are a few characters, right? There are big names here.
Yes.
You know, we also have Ben Mendelsohn, but even though his role is pretty short.
Yeah, all pretty, all did a good job, I would say. But something we talked off camera, and now this is where we completely disagree.
Here we go.
And that is Robert Pattinson. So Robert Pattinson comes in about midway through the movie, and he basically plays this French prince who is this slimy, conniving type of character, and you couldn't stand him one bit.
Thing is, for me, is probably the worst part of the movie because I really enjoyed the movie, and seeing Robert Pattinson in this role, I don't know, it took me out of it, honestly.
Okay, why? What about it? Like,
We are
didn't
going to
work?
spoilers. He does a few sinister things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has certain behavior to him, like you say, slimy. He's also like, he has long hair, and he's just like
This accent.
his accent.
You couldn't stand it?
I cannot. I just
I think, and that's the thing. I think everything that you mentioned
yeah.
is exactly why I loved him.
Wow,
because
okay.
like he played this over the top
That's right.
villain, which I think really worked in this movie. So he's kind of this Joffrey type of character
yeah.
who is just a total asshole, but not in a, I don't know, Tywin Lannister or
Yeah.
like Jaime Lannister kind. This is just like,
He's there for you to hate him.
yeah, he's there for you to hate him in the kind like where he is just a total prick in a very like teenage
Yes.
or like kind of thing where he has this very like he just thinks he's better than everyone
That's
when
right.
you know he's not. And I thought Robert Pattinson was excellent in this role. There's one scene where he makes a joke about balls and penises, and I
Why?
thought
No.
that was I just wanted to slap him,
Yeah.
and I thought that's why it worked.
I just wanted to slap him, and I thought it didn't work.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, no, okay. So he's also very over the top, right?
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with over the top. If you were to change the character to someone, maybe, okay, he's a proper prince.
Yeah.
He's like a badass prince that could possibly beat Henry V. It might not have worked as well. I'm okay with the over the top kind of confident
Yeah.
and almost like immature kind of role of a French prince. But Robert Pattinson doing it, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I think he nailed it. But
Okay.
I think what we should definitely talk about is the battle sequence,
Yep.
because
Okay.
eventually we do get a battle sequence in the movie, which I thought was absolutely superb. Now, this again is an antithesis to Lord of the Rings,
Yep.
right? And Lord of the Rings is meant to be a very high fantasy kind of thing where a lot of illogical things happen, but you buy into it because that's the world they set up.
Yep.
You have like Legolas, I don't know, like skateboarding down staircases
Defying
with a
gravity.
shield, defying gravity,
Yeah.
and all these kind of things. And like every single shot is cool.
Yes.
The action sequences are cool, but here the battles are
Down to earth.
yeah.
Quite literally, actually.
yes, it's
Dirty.
it's dirty. So like yeah, it's about men slogging in mud. It's like, they fall down because of how slippery it is, and like they're stabbing away. Sometimes you don't even know whether they're stabbing. They don't even know whether they're stabbing at their own like their own soldiers or
Yep.
their enemy soldiers. And like it's about how once like they all get into the middle of the battlefield, right? And they are all just tired. You can see they are heaving, they are gasping for breath, their armor is heavy. And like there's this just mass of bodies. And
Yep.
sometimes you see people suffocating and dying, not just because
Of like the blades,
of
they're getting slashed. They're
Yeah.
literally getting, it's claustrophobic due to the amount of people. Yeah.
they're just right. And like if you fall down,
Yep.
that could be the end of you as well, because there's
Trampled,
just so
stomped.
many people and you're just getting stomped. And I just love how they captured it. It reminded me a little bit of like some of the action scenes in Braveheart, or even like some of the action scenes in like Game of Thrones. What did you think?
Game of Thrones. Okay.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I thought this was sort of like the poor man's version of Battle of the Bastards. There were some, yes, okay.
Okay.
Some shots almost like frame to shot to shot, like similar to Battle of the Bastards. You have the over the top kind of like shot where you have the main character in the middle and the whole crowd around you. There's the shots right there. There's also the long takes as well. I say poor man, but they're still well done. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can tell that the director is possibly like inspired by Battle of the Bastards, because there are similar kind of shots and also themes in the war
Yeah.
zone, but also I think it's also to convey like the helplessness, when
Yes.
you're in the mud. So there's also these really long takes, and we has one shot where we see Timothée Chalamet
yeah.
just going through the mud and sort of traversing in between
Yeah, and the
these
camera just
soldiers.
tracks his
him.
movement, yeah.
We have a similar shot as well, like with Jon Snow going through it. But,
Yeah.
but this one is different a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I agree with you that it's not as good as Battle
Yeah.
of the Bastards. And I think one of the reasons is not because of the production value of it. It's not because of the camera or like anything. It's all super. But I think it lacks that. I think like Battle of the Bastards, almost the entire episode, if I'm not mistaken, was the battle sequence, or actually probably the entire episode. But here it was kind of short because the movie, I feel like, okay, this is like where we get slightly into my negatives, right? Okay. But I love the battle because of how messy it is, you know, like it's not beautiful, which is what in turn makes the whole thing kind of beautiful, actually, like how kind of spectacular is that when you're there, it's kind of disorienting and you just feel scared for all these people. It's not a fun battle. It's a very scary, claustrophobic battle. But I feel that it's a bit short because this is my biggest negative with the movie. It's that I feel for the story that they're trying to say, like this could have been a in fact, I feel if this came out in the 80s, it would have, or even the 90s or the early 2000s, I don't know, it would have been a 3 hour or maybe even 3.5 hour movie because there is so much they talk about, actually, because like going back to what you mentioned earlier is that when the movie starts, right, you get this, it's not a prologue, but it feels like a prologue where things just happen, but there's no proper flow.
That's right,
because you get introduced to Prince Henry, as he's known in the movie, where he's just like, okay, there's a quick scene where he's at a bar, you have a quick scene where he's with a girl, you have these quick scenes, and then you have a scene where the father is like having this war meeting with another character, and then they're having like an argument 1 second, and then the next second it just cuts to like where like both of them are suddenly already at war, and then like you have this scene where like, okay, like he rejects his like he basically tells his father like, I do not want to be king and all that, and then the next scene like his father is already dead and his brother is already dead, and now he needs to be king, you know, like it just happens. It doesn't, like, I feel like this entire thing that happens in what I feel is a very, very quick 20 minutes or something like that. I don't know exactly. I can't remember. But it should have been at least another half an hour long, I feel, to really build these characters and their relationship. Because I feel what the movie wanted to do is do a quick setup of all these events just so we can get to the point where Prince Henry becoming King Henry the Fifth, and then they start their movie, and the pacing is really well done.
Already I can feel the weight of this crown I wear.
It is a waste to watch it on Netflix, but since this is the only way to watch it, I think we both suggest that you definitely check it out, especially if you're at home and you have a TV, like watch it, like, you know, like on your home theater system or whatever. But even if you don't, it's a good story that even if you can't experience the epicness of the battle on a big screen, it's mostly about the drama, the psychology of war. It's about the politicking. It's about people betraying each other. It's about trust. It's about relationships. Definitely check it out. Those are pretty much our thoughts on The King. Now it's time for your take. Let us know what you think by hitting us up on @MovieDash on Twitter. Also, if you like our podcast, be sure to subscribe to MovieDash on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. That's also the video version on YouTube for those of you who would like to check out our not so beautiful faces. Also, you can follow both of us on social media. You can follow Jin at
KrakenJin on Instagram.
And you can follow me at Twitter and Instagram at @DashTalksMovies. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.